Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with our very last episode of Into Darkness. Into Darkness is our series that is dedicated to our solo play campaign in Snarling Badger Studios' Space Station Zero. And now we find ourselves on challenge number 23, Control Room, which is the very actually, technically speaking, the second to last scenario that I have to go through to complete my solo play campaign. And the reason why is because the very next one isn't really so much a scenario, it's just a revelation of secrets. And I'm actually looking forward to this scenario and actually beating it. And the reason why is because I have not read the spoiler section on what lies beyond in the secrets of Space Station Zero. So I have not gotten that far yet. I didn't actually avoid that whole process, the entire process of filming these. Did not read that. I only read forward to do knowledge charts and that kind of thing. Didn't actually read the spoiler, what the ending is all about. So I'm really looking forward to actually playing this scenario. Hopefully I can win it. I do have my work cut out for me because I got to fight the control with all these different weapons and different equipment and stuff that it has, and hopefully figure out once and for all what the secret is to Space Station Zero. Now, I will tell you, if I do manage to succeed in this scenario, hopefully I will. I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed on this one. If I do manage to pass the scenario and I do finally move on to the very last challenge, which is challenge number 24, I will tell you guys ahead of time before we actually talk about it. So that way I can avoid any spoilers. So that way, if you don't want to know what the secrets is because you want to run through your own campaign, I won't reveal until the very end if I do manage to make it. So with that being said, folks, we're going to put on some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we will talk about the scenario rules as well as the roster for my crew, Thundrik's Profiteers. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll. Challenge 23, Control Room. This massive bay is completely dark when you enter, save for a single red light at the far side of the room, which pulses with a soft, even rhythm. As you take your first steps, the red light flares brighter, lights clicking on around the room. Lights, diodes, and LEDs spring to life, revealing a massive machine that takes up the entire far end of the space. A lifeless metallic voice blares, "Enter control codes." It pauses for only the briefest moment, seeming to expect an answer, but not allowing enough time for it to be given. It continues. Hostile forms detected, security protocols engaged. So this is the very last challenge of the solo campaign for Space Station Zero, and in this control room I have to fight an entire walled section of technology and have to defeat in order to move on to my very final challenge. Now this thing is actually quite deadly. It's actually got 30 life, 0 movement, 6 combat score, 2 reaction score, and 10 intelligence. It also has armor 6. It's also armed with a quad cannon, a neutron ion beam, and implosion gravity grenades, as well as a shock web. And this thing actually activates 4 times per turn, going through every single weapon within this sequence in order. And of course it also has a force field, which means that the very first range energy weapon that goes against it is actually deflected because the force field absorbs the damage and reduces to 0. Now you can of course bypass the systems on this one. In order to do that, all you gotta do is go within 3 inches of it and make an intelligence challenge test of 10 on a 6-up, and you can do a couple things. You can buffer combat systems, meaning that you reduce the combat score by 2, and every single time you hack it down to 0, you get the modified programming special ability, which gives you some additional things that you can get later on if you decide to replay the campaign. You have defense suppression, which means the force field ability is gone completely, and the second time you do it, the control armor value drops down to 4. You also have damage systems, which means it suffers 10 damage, and it can be selected multiple times. And so with that's pretty much how it works in order to defeat the control room. Now, like I said before, it's got 30 life, so I do have my work cut out for me on this one. So that being said, let's go ahead and show you guys the rosters for my crew, Thundrik's Profiteers. Alright, so the scenario rules over. Let's talk about my battle plans as well as deployment. So first of all, here is Thundrik's Profiteers, my shipping crew that we've been doing this entire adventure. Up here is Bergen Thundrik, my commander, followed by Kazgan Draxgear, my soldier. Up in the front is Garon Allenson, my pilot. In the back here is my guard drone, the shipbreaker, followed by Enrik Ironhelm, my engineer, as well as my doctor, my medical officer, Deadeye Lund. Now, I do have my work cut out for me on this one because there's a couple of ways I could go about doing this. I could just use brute force ignorance and just shoot at the control panel, and hopefully take out the enemy that way by shooting it. But I could also approach it as quick as I can. So long as I'm within 3 inches of it, I can try to run bypasses, and hopefully I can hack it. So I do have a good balance of combat as well as intelligence and reactions in my group, so I should be able to do that pretty easily with the try to hacking and try to disable some of its systems. The only thing I'm really worried about right now is a special ability called Force Field, which means that every single time that you open fire with a ranged energy weapon, Control takes 0 damage, and that's kind of a bad thing because almost every single one of my crew members has an energy-based weapon. The only one who does is Kazgan Drakskewer because he has his heavy melee weapon, and Enric Ironhail who has his heavy kinetic missile weapon. So those two guys can shoot without any problems. Hopefully I'll have those guys start shooting at the wall and causing damage, do some close combat damage to it, try to hack it, try to survive as long as possible, and hopefully bring down Control and manage to secure myself. Now, Control in this situation's got 30 life on this one because it's a solo play. It's got 0 movement, 6 combat, it's got 2 reaction as well as 10 intelligence. So I do have my work cut out for this one. It does have a quad cannon as well as neutron, ion beam, and implosion gravity grenades, which are terrifying because that can instantly one-shot and kill your guys, as well as shock web. So I do have to worry about those attacks. At the same time, I do also have my bypasses that we talked about earlier, so hopefully I can use those and destroy this. So that being said, folks, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and I get to activate first. Wish me luck. Alright, so that takes directly to the end of turn number 1. So pretty good so far. First of all, I sent in Deadeye Lund, my medical officer, because he's got really good intelligence checks. Managed to put 5 successful intelligence checks directly onto Control, and then from there I was able to steal initiative with my leader, Bjorgen Thundrik. He actually moved up double as well. Oh, sorry, not moved up, moved up once as well. Got within range to hack it as well, and also got another 5 successes. So because I decided to disable Force Field, and the reason why is because from this point on, this will never be able to use Force Field for the rest of the scenario, so it seemed like the best bet to use. My second plan in the next round is that hopefully I can hack it again, and then from there I can put 10 more damage directly onto the unit and cause it some kind of pain as well. So that's my plan is from there. Now from there, I then activated Kazgan Drakskewer. He actually jumped up forward and actually attacked it. So because I did manage to strike it, which is actually kind of cool. Meanwhile, the machine then, of course, opened fired with its quad cannons. Managed to put a wound directly on, 2 wounds directly onto Deadeye Lund as well. But the rest of my guys actually managed to pass their reaction saves, so they're doing pretty good as well. From there, I moved to Garon Allenson as well as the Shipbreaker, as well as Enric Ironhail, and combined with all my attacks together, I was able to put 7 wounds directly onto the onto Control as well. So because of that, pretty good there. Now, however, though, I do have my work cut out for me still because in the successive rounds, this thing's gonna open fire with me with more energy weapons. Hopefully I can hack it and then cause damage to it to put 10 on there, and I can make it, hopefully make it halfway to maybe 20 damage if I'm really lucky. And that pretty much makes up turn number 1. So with turn number 1 over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 2. Alright, so that takes directly to the end of round number 2, and as you can see, quite a bit of damage has taken place over here. I got pretty lucky on this turn. The necrotic beamer that this thing fired, the neutron ion beam, it was targeted directly at Kazgan Drakskewer. Lucky for me though, the shot kind of flubbed, so because of that, got extremely lucky on that one. Missed his shot for the most part. Rolled a bunch of odds, and I was able to save with my combat score, so that part's pretty awesome. What was not so great though was the 2 other weapons, the implosion gravity grenade as well as the quad cannon. Now, the implosion gravity grenade did take 2 wounds off of the Shipbreaker. I did pass my life test, so it didn't go out of action. Now, the shockwave was pretty much useless, but the quad cannon, though, it did put 2 wounds directly onto Bjorgen Thundrik, as well as 2 more wounds directly onto the Shipbreaker. Now, in exchange, I was able to hack its system, put 10 damage onto it. So now I put on 18 damage total onto Control. I got 12 more to go before this thing is finally DRT. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 3, and I'll start to activate first. Alright, so that takes directly to the end of turn number 3, and as you can see, quite a bit of dramatic has happened. I was able to hack it once again, putting 10 more damage onto it as well. And by the time I got done with all of my combined attacks, I was able to put this up to, 29 wounds. So it's only got 1 more wound left before this thing is absolutely destroyed. Meanwhile, the entirety of my team almost has taken a lot of damage. Lucky for me, I've been dodging that Neuron Ion Beam. It's been targeting Kazgan Drakskewer. Luckily for him, he's been using that heavy melee weapon in order to protect himself from being shot at, so he's doing pretty good there. It's that quad laser. That quad laser is slowly tearing up my crew, putting 2 wounds on everybody. So as you can see, I got 2 wounds on Deadeye Lund. Enric Ironhail is perfectly fine. My Shipbreaker's got 2 wounds. Kazgan Drakskewer 2 wounds. 4 wounds on Bjorgen Thundrik, which is pretty terrifying, as well as Garon Allenson with 2 wounds. But with only 1 wound left on this thing, hopefully I'll be able to kill this thing in top of turn number 4. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 4, and I get to go first for my very first activation. And that brings us directly to the top of turn number 4, and just like that, kaboom! Managed to blow up and finally kill Control by putting the very last wound directly onto it. Kazgan Draxcure activated first. He threw all of his attack with his melee attack directly into this machine and managed to take off the very last wound, and just like that, the wall comes crumbling down as Control finally meets its end before my crew, Thundrik's Profiteers. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, go directly to the post game and also talk about exactly what the secrets of Space Station Zero are. So with that being said, we'll go directly to the post game because this game and this campaign is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, so for the post game for this one, I actually didn't do very much. Bjorgen Thundrik can't gain any more experience points because he's completely capped out at level 6 for his fighter type, so he is completely done. As for the rest of my crew also earned another point of experience, but not enough for them to level up as well. And with that being said, this is pretty much the furthest my crew will go, unless of course I decide to go through another run through of Space Station Zero as well. Now with that being said, folks, we're going to go directly to the end of this battle report. Now we're going to talk about Master System, which is challenge number 24, which is the end narrative about what the entirety of Space Station Zero is about, and reveals the mysteries of what this whole space station is, as well as reveal the fate of the crew that actually embarked on this journey. Now, if you haven't played your own solo campaign of Space Station Zero, or if you don't want to know the ending quite yet, I will warn you there will be some major spoiler alerts after this slide, so I recommend that you just kind of cut it off here and then just not proceed any further. And if you decide to do that, thank you for watching. This was a fantastic campaign, another wonderful, beautiful product made by Snarling Badger Studio. I was a fan of their game Rain in Hell. I'm an extreme fan of this game, Space Station Zero as well, and I can't wait to see what other crazy stuff that Adam Loper as well as Vince Venturilla also create as well. If you haven't picked up yourself a copy, I highly suggest you do so. It's a blast to play, and I highly recommend playing in co-op as well. It'll probably be a lot of fun to play with co-op and actually have people help you out on this story. So with that being said, if you're not going to go any further, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. I will catch you guys in the next one. For those of you guys who want to know the story, stick around because in 10 seconds we're going to reveal Challenge 24 Master System. As you enter this central chamber, you do not find a great computer system or anything similar. There is just a ball of light. In the visions of your crew, the glowing light was massive, a star in its own right. But here as you stand, the light is no larger than a small escape pod. Its surface seems to shimmer and pulse like a heartbeat. You all clearly hear a voice in your head. No, that's not right. Not a voice, but voices. Many voices, but somehow still one. Welcome, travelers. Your home, wherever it is impossibly far from this place. We know that you have encountered many travels to reach this place. You will likely have questions we are happy to answer. We are the progenitors of Space Station Zero. We created this place long ago, billions of years in the past. Long before this, our story begins on a small world near the center of the universe. Roughly 12 billion years ago, our original civilization was on a single planet. We had wars and conflicts and nearly destroyed ourselves as most civilizations do. There was nothing special about us until we created Master System. Master System was artificial superintelligence. We had created God. Master System guided our race to peace and salvation. Overnight, all problems were solved. Disease, hunger, strife, war, and death all eradicated. Problems that would have taken us centuries, perhaps millennia to solve, Master System could solve within seconds. We lived in peace for centuries as individual beings, but eventually we tired of the world to which we were born and of our weak physical bodies. For many years, with Master System's guidance, many of our kind have already been uploaded into a central system, combining their consciousness together into a single harmony. Over time, all resistance to this concept ended. We all became one with each other and with Master System. With no more need of physical bodies, we broke down our original planet into the energy we would need to expand and explore. Thus, our collective grew. We consumed our entire solar system, then expanded further, on, converting more and more of the mass of planets, stars, and other celestial bodies into energy to expand the collective. Eventually, we discovered additional sentient beings. We shared our experiences and offered them the chance to join us. All agreed as we could solve every problem that had ever experienced. Sometimes it would take years, sometimes it would take centuries, but they all joined, and we knew we would consume their systems and move on. This continued for 1 billion years, but eventually we had consumed so much of the mass at the center of our universe that even with our immense capabilities, we could not continue our journey. By this point, our combined consciousness had discovered a hole in the universe, a quirk, a flaw in the great patterns of physics and in quantum time-space. As all of this time had passed, some species developed differently, but they never created anything like Master System. Indeed, they took to the stars as physical beings, used mechanical craft to move beyond the impregnable barrier of light. Such systems, however, though, are not perfect. Faster than light travel, no matter how advanced can be, how careful in construction, is never perfect. It is never absolute. There is always failure. Most of the time, when it fails, those who are on such a craft are simply destroyed, scattered to atoms, and cast into the void of endless space. We discovered, however, that we could redirect this energy, that we could, through quantum entanglement, pull them to us sometimes. This would allow us to continue our exploration and bring new species to our glorious existence. We could reach into the furthest edges of the universe, even as it continued its endless expansion. If we were to bring beings here, though, we could give them time to adjust. Our experience had shown us that. We constructed this space station as a place to give them respite and prove themselves with everything that they could imagine, a perfect existence. So it was for many more billions of years. There was only one thing we did not plan for: that existence, no matter how perfect, eventually grows wearying. When we were absorbing entire civilizations, our numbers were always growing. Now, however, we were only bringing in the crews of spaceships. As a result, slowly over the course of endless time, our numbers dwindled. We cannot die, that was long ago conquered, but we can cease, and many of us did. We are now all that is left of us. We are no longer enough to maintain the space station, and we fear it has fallen into disrepair. We fear that without our care and attention, the systems we have put in place to allow for communication between your species will slowly kill you all or drive you insane. If you wish not to die slowly, you are welcome to join our collective. The journey to join us often took decades, even centuries for some civilization. We are sorry that you've been given such a short time. And that concludes the end of Space Station Zero, Into Darkness, the solo campaign from Snarling Badger Space Station Zero. So as you guys can tell, the ending is very, very grim, realizing that you cannot escape the space station, only join the collective or be driven insane and die a slow, weary death as you wait in the endless abyss of space inside of Space Station Zero. So this was a very rewarding campaign. It was absolutely fantastic to play. I highly recommend that you pick up yourself a copy of Space Station Zero from Snarling Badger Studio, and I can't wait to see what other cool game they come up with next. I love the way these guys have made their gaming systems. Their rules are very simple, easy to play, and we've now concluded our journey through Space Station Zero. So that's good to do for those of you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.